If you've been trying to lose belly fat and nothing seems to work, I totally get it. I used to believe mine was just stubborn, or that my metabolism was completely broken, or that I'd have to starve myself in order to see any real results. But after losing over 70 pounds and helping dozens of my clients do the same, I really believe that I have discovered the best way and most sustainable way of doing this. Your belly fat isn't stubborn, it's just misunderstood. And once you approach it the right way, it starts coming off so much faster than you think. Even if you have failed 100 times, I promise this system has worked for me and dozens of my clients, and it's gonna work for you this time as well. I promise if you stick with this, you're gonna succeed. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly what I'd do if I had to lose the belly fat all over again, and how you can make progress in just 2 months, real, visible, sustainable progress starting today. Okay, so for this first thing, it's gonna fill you with a lot of hope. I really think you're gonna like this. Your belly fat isn't stuck, it's just the last to go. Let me show you something. I'm about to talk about this picture in just a second. But first, we tend to not be willing to do the things that leads to the belly fat loss, and this picture is gonna explain it a little bit whenever I get there. Now here's the hope part. Even though it's not easy, you do have the control, and I'm gonna show you how you have that control, and if you follow the right plan, this is gonna work for you. If most aren't willing to do the work, as long as you're willing to do the work and dig deep, you are going to succeed. And this, I promise, I know I keep saying this, but I wanna give you this hope. This is going to help you. This is gonna change your life. Okay, so for this picture, you'll see that I don't have any like scientific backing that the face comes just before the lower arms and the lower legs. But the face, legs, and arms, the bottom of the legs and the ends of the arms, that fat tends to come off first. That's where you notice it first, in your hands and your arms. That's why a guy can be overweight and his arms can look really good, but you'll see a big gut. And then sometimes people start complimenting you like you've lost weight, but you don't feel it in the stomach area so much, but they'll tell you that your face looks thinner or whatever. And that's because in my experience, the face fat comes off first, and then right behind that is the forearms and the lower legs. And then last is the belly fat, and that's why it feels stubborn. So it actually comes off in reverse order. It goes on very easily on the stomach and the thighs. It's believed that it goes onto the stomach region to protect vital organs and to help you and insulate your body and insulate your organs. And so it goes there first, but it's also the last to come off. So I want to encourage you here that you're not broken, your approach was, and you just have to be more patient. I know that sucks. It's kind of also not really fun to hear, but I think it should give you a lot of encouragement that, hey, if I just stuck with the system and I learned a system that was sustainable, which I'm going to show you in this video, that I could actually do this. I'll show you client graphs that prove that this works. These are my clients' weight loss graphs. And it's not like they came to me knowing what they were doing. A lot of people come to me with completely backwards thinking about how to lose weight. And so it's not like you're any different than them. They come to me needing help, and we change them and what they're doing and their habits, and they actually get results like this. Okay, so for the first real part of the system, this is exactly the opposite of what I hear a lot of people say. It's the opposite of traditional wisdom, and this is gonna trigger a lot of people. But first, a little look into the approach that I use that I think is gonna help you remember this really easily. When I teach clients how to build fat loss friendly meals, I tell them to follow the F.I.T principle, F.I.T. It helps cut through all the confusion about what actually helps you lose fat and not just what's healthy. So F stands for filling. Your meals absolutely need to keep you full. We all kind of know that. That's why things like protein and fiber matter a whole lot more than fancy ingredients or minimal ingredients or whatever. I stands for in budget. It has to be able to fit in your calorie budget, and that's something we're gonna be talking a little bit more about. It can be healthy food, but if it absolutely, crushes your calories for the day, then it's not gonna help you lose weight. T is for tasty, because if it doesn't taste good, you're not gonna stick with it. And I think it's time we start admitting this to ourselves. I have been there before where I try to choke down things that I maybe don't want because I know it helps me reach my goals. But in the end, I would just, turn on that. So it has to be tasty enough. So when you're building your meals, ask yourself, is it filling, in budget, and tasty? Can I do this on every day, not just my best days? Or even ask yourself, could I eat this on a low day, not just my best days? So my cookbook really helps with this because I have built things like protein macaroni and cheese and white chicken chili and stuff like that are in the cookbook. Cheesy Mexican rice, it is delicious, and you actually want to pull it out of your fridge and eat it. Very high volume, very high protein, and it helps you stick with your goals. So make sure to get that in the pinned comment. It's totally free. Link in the description as well. So as I was saying, not all healthy foods are fat loss foods. Calorie density also matters, and some healthy foods are very calorie dense, such as avocados, nuts, peanut butter, things like that. Those are very healthy foods, but if you eat, 4 tablespoons of peanut butter and an avocado somewhere in your day, it's gonna be really hard to stick to your goals. let alone your calorie goals, but definitely your protein goals. It's going to be hard to reach that. Also, I wanted to mention things like granola because people put that on top of their yogurt. I'm not saying that's bad, but if you have a lot of this in one day, it's going to be really hard to reach your goals. And the nutrients, I'm not arguing that these are very healthy. They're healthy fats. The nutrients are very dense and it's very good for you. We just can't have a lot of it. Okay, so for this next part, I'm going to start with one of the most disheartening stats I think I've heard as a personal trainer. And don't worry, I got you. I'm going to pick you back up, but here's the stat. I remember a client came in one time, this is early on in my career, and she told me how little she was eating. She literally said she was eating like a bird. I've heard that phrase a lot with my clients, that they feel like they're eating like a bird. And whenever she broke it down, she said that she was eating somewhere around 600 calories a day. Now, that is extreme. I think most people don't think that they're actually eating 600 calories or less per day. But whenever she sent me pictures of all of her stuff, because we started working on this, of course, she started sending me pictures of everything that she ate. I added it up, just rough ballpark, and she was easily eating over 2,400 calories per day. So the disheartening stat here, and she is not alone in this, and I hate to say it, but we are not alone, and we are with her in that. All humans are pretty bad at estimating their calories. Studies show that the larger a person is, that they are not as talented, we'll say, at estimating their calories up to 60%. And then they're up to 40% wrong on their activity, how many steps they get and how many calories they think they're burning. So that combination, this particular client, she had a sedentary office job. She didn't get a lot of movement outside of our sessions. Our sessions had to be kind of low intensity because she was, kind of out of shape. And so there wasn't a whole lot of calorie burning happening. Plus, she was taking in way more than she thought. So I had to break this belief down in her mind that she was eating so little. And although that kind of sucks, I think that should also be a great encouragement that you don't have to be a victim to this. If we look at the truth and we look at what we're actually consuming, it gives us the power back. Now we have the ability to start cooking from my cookbook or whatever you want in order to lower our calories. You have the ability to do this. You don't have to just say, I'm eating 600 calories and I'm stuck. I'm in starvation mode, which isn't real, by the way. And I'm sorry if that triggers you, but I promise I'm giving you the power back. You got this. So in my opinion, tracking macros is by far the most powerful way of controlling the calories that are coming in. There are multiple ways of doing that. There is calorie tracking or macro tracking. They're the same thing. Or you could also do time restriction, such as intermittent fasting. You could also do food group restriction, which the only one you can really restrict very heavily is carbs. You need fat, you need protein. You don't necessarily need carbs, though you might feel kind of crappy at first. But one of those is going to feel least restrictive to you, and that's going to be the winner. I do have some clients that don't track any calories. They just eat keto, and it works for them. Now, others, they try to eat keto and intuitively eat, and the sausage and cheese they're eating is just too high of calorie, and they can't do that, so they end up going to calorie tracking. I think this is especially essential since this video is focused around like a 2-month time period, like quick results. I think, if you're not willing, I hate to say this, but if you're not willing to dig deep and track something or sacrifice something for those 2 months, then I'm not sure if you're ready to commit to this process. But if you are, then tracking your macros is a good sign telling yourself, I am ready to commit to this. After calories, protein is by far the most important macro. It spares muscle. It burns energy completely for free because it takes energy in order to process the protein that comes in. So it is by far the most valuable for fat loss and muscle building. It happens to be for both. That lean muscle that you add because of the increased protein, and studies show that even just eating protein adds a little bit of lean muscle mass. If there's any sort of physical activity in there at all, weightlifting, resistance training, even some cardio, you'll build a little bit of muscle. Your basal metabolic rate or your metabolism will go up. And that's going to help you burn calories all throughout the day, even while you're sleeping. Okay, so real quick, I want to go over how to actually start tracking macros. If you feel like you already know this and you are a master at tracking macros, then there's timestamps in the description. You can skip past this part. I don't want you to get bored. But I want to mention that because I think that's something that a lot of people are going to want. So I'm going to be reading from my phone here because I kind of have some stuff for MyFitnessPal. That's the most common app. All apps will allow you to do this. You might just have to do a little bit of digging. So as I've mentioned before, though, using my cookbook, that'll give you grams for the serving size. So you don't have to measure all this stuff out. Once you make it, you'll know that, 335 grams or 430 grams or whatever is a serving. And so it's pretty easy with the food scale to get servings like that. So I just wanted to mention that my cookbook is very helpful in that regard. But using MyFitnessPal, it's going to set your calorie and macro targets for you. But I almost always adjust that for my clients. So I want you to aim for 1 gram per pound of body weight of your goal weight. So if your goal is to get to 180 or 200 or whatever, then set it to 200. That might feel like, oh my gosh, 200 grams of protein. And I promise you can get there, okay? Especially if you use my cookbook, because again, there's like 50 grams of protein per meal. It's crazy. So this is how you're going to change it. In MyFitnessPal, you go down to the bottom right to the More tab. You go to Goals, calorie, carbs, protein, and fat goals. That's how you change your protein. You would adjust that until it was roughly 1 gram, it'll say 180 grams or whatever. So you adjust that until it's roughly 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. You can scan barcodes or you can add custom foods manually. So scanning barcodes is really easy. Just say that you're from the UK and it'll give you free barcode scanner. I don't know why. Maybe that, at the time of the recording of this video, that's still a true thing. So just say that your location is from the UK. But to add custom foods, you go to More, My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. Then you go to Foods and create a food. And you can literally just enter in like Aaron Trainers, that could be like the brand, and then white chicken chili, and then put in the calories, protein, carbs, fats. That's all you have to do, and then you can log that every single time. It'll be nice and easy. Later in this video, we're going to talk about adjusting calories based off your progress. So I'm going to get more into calories. Don't worry, I got you, because that could feel like, that wasn't a complete system, but we're going to get there. So this next thing is probably what I get the most pushback on, but I think it's the most powerful in this list. Here's why. Your body can't build muscle out of nowhere. It needs calories in order to do that. So you have to feed those calories into your system for it to build muscle. If you're in a calorie deficit or at maintenance, where do you think those resources come from? It has to come from your body fat. And if you're relatively new at this or you're getting into this, again, for the first time in a long time, your body is going to build that muscle. It's such a raw stimulus. It's such a new stimulus to the muscle. It is going to build that muscle. Those are called newbie gains. I'm sure you've heard of them. If you haven't, just know that if you're new to this, it's almost like a steroid-like effect where it's like, it makes no sense, but my body's building muscle. So if, let's say you need this many calories and you're taking in this many calories, but this many calories is needed in order to build that muscle. It's going to build that muscle at first. And so now you're in a calorie deficit without actually even being in a calorie deficit. This is called recomping, and it could be your secret weapon. If you've never tapped into this could be such a game changer for you. I'm going to show you this graphic on screen here where the yellow line represents if you are lifting weights and you're doing something steadily. And I'm sure you all have seen the dotted red line, maybe even in your own lives, where you lose weight much quicker, but then you rebound, you end up gaining more than you started with. You end up backwards, So what's the point? So muscle obviously does a few things. It increases your basal metabolic rate and it increases your shape. Like you will like the shape that you are seeing underneath that fat a lot sooner. You're not going to have to wait as long to start appreciating what you're seeing the results pay off to give you. I really believe that progress in training, like getting stronger and doing better at things, whether that is with Olympic rings, we're going to talk a little bit about, you don't have to go to the gym. I don't, and I really enjoy it. But I think that creates momentum whenever you see yourself getting stronger, whenever you see yourself increasing in performance. At first, just build the habit of strength training. You don't need to, do really well on a bench press or anything. Just build the habit of getting to the gym or buying Olympic rings, which again, we're going to talk about, and putting them in your basement and actually using them. After a few weeks of consistent lifting, start looking for, on each set, what I call sticky reps. That's when the bar speed slows down. That means you're close to failure. So if you are actually lifting a bar or dumbbells or whatever you're moving, it could be your own body weight, it could be a push-up. If you're pushing yourself away from the ground, that when that rep looks sticky, meaning it's a grind, you're grinding through it. What I tell my clients to do is go about 2 to 3 reps into that feeling. A lot of people, they'll stop before they even reach that feeling. If you're starting to think, man, I'm getting close to being done, but you notice that if you're honest with yourself, you can push yourself up just as fast on that rep as you did the first or second rep, then you are not training hard enough. Now, at first, maybe 2 to 3 weeks is a bit soon to start pushing into this hard training, but it is something that I want you to start wrapping your mind around, that I need to be training harder. That zone where you're really close to failure is the muscle building zone. I don't know if I'm fully sold on the idea of effective reps, but there's this theory of effective reps that basically, let's say that rep 13, 14, and 15 were sticky. Rep 1 through 12 was just to get you to those sticky reps, that those sticky reps were the muscle building reps, and 1 to 12 was just needed in order to experience those. If that is true, which it's not fully true, you can build muscle even 7, 8 reps shy of failure. You're just not nearly going to build as much. And remember that phenomenon I told you about. If you're building muscle, it has to take the energy from somewhere. And I'm telling you, man, this is a superpower for you. Olympic rings, in my opinion, are a great place to start, and you can take them all the way to very advanced lifting. There's a guy called Tao Physique, T-A-O Physique. I'll try to, show his YouTube channel here or something. He's where I started learning calisthenics from. And then there's also, other guys. One of my favorite is Strength Side, a great YouTube channel, more dedicated to the muscle building side of things, but great ways of learning calisthenic movements. And I think their videos are a little bit different than mine, at least right now. I hope to grow into something like that to show you those workouts more. But if you really want some specific set-by-set workouts from me, let me know in the comments and I will film a video. It might not not do super well on YouTube, but I don't care. I just want to help you. So if you want, comment that below. I will film my workout and maybe talk you through it the entire time and show you like a total body version of what you can do. The Olympic rings are pretty cool because you can just hang them up in your basement over one of those steel beams. You could also, I have them in my garage, you just lag them up into one of those, I'm not a construction guy, I'm embarrassed, I should have wrote this down in my notes, but the studs, I guess, the ceiling studs, whatever those are called, you lag those up in there, and the little anchors, if you look on Amazon and you just type in like TRX anchor, you will see that there's a little circular disc with 2 holes. Get a 2-pack because it would be ideal to have one for each. And it comes with the lag screw. So you just lag it up there. It's pretty easy. And then you can hang those. That's what I have going on in my garage. Either way, that was kind of a long spiel and I'm sorry. But that is a great way, like a push-up from a ring where you're really close to the ground. That is a very difficult push-up. So you can progress very far. But you could also walk the rings out where now you're almost doing like a wall push-up. So wherever your fitness level is, these things are gonna help you reach those sticky reps and build that muscle. So this next tip I'm titling The Powerful Text. Check this out. So they said here, well, I'm certainly not as tired anymore and I'm down almost 20 pounds. So I'm gonna tell you what led to this text. This is one of my clients, of course, but I'm gonna tell you what led to it. So this particular text was following, and that's, I think, why they said like, well, I'm certainly not as tired anymore, because they were very skeptical of what I'm about to tell you because it sounds too simple. What this text doesn't show is how much more he's eating, which I think is the key to his success. It might be the key to yours. So when he hit a plateau, his first major plateau that we were struggling to push through, I told him to walk more, dedicate to walking more. Let's just give it a 2-week trial, really pushing his steps up. Walking burns more calories than you might think. It's called NEAT, which just means all the moving that you do that isn't exercise. And I know exercise can be labeled as walking, that is a form of exercise, but I'm talking about just a stroll, not making it actual cardio, just getting more steps. This is actually where most of your calorie burning comes from each day, and you can control it. That's so powerful. The basal metabolic rate, you can't really control. Over the course of time, you can build that basal metabolic rate, that's your metabolism basically, by building more muscle, but it takes a long time. This is something that on a day in, day out basis, you have control over. The great thing about walking is that anyone can do it. You start where you are and you slowly do more. I've had clients come to me that I'm not exaggerating. They got 800 to 1,000 steps. And I think that's a huge opportunity. If you only get 1,000 steps per day, imagine what 5,000 steps a day can get for you. I also have worked with several clients in wheelchairs, and their steps we track from their wrist. And so the number of rolls. Now, yes, that is a lot less because the distance they go for each time they move their wrist really, is a lot more than steps. So we might aim for like 4,000. That's a lot, more rolls than you might think. But it still applies. Even if a person can't physically walk, their NEAT, their walking, their steps, that's how we track it, can still be tracked and can still be utilized. Unlike workouts that make you, with high intensity, make you want to eat more later, this doesn't increase your hunger. Studies show that it doesn't increase your hunger, at least not nearly as much. It also gives you more energy. It doesn't sap your strength, doesn't sap your energy, and you all groggy later in the evening. That's a really big win, something for you to tackle and press into. I also think it's really cool how you're not going to now be too tired whenever you go to hit the gym, because it's not like you did a cardio session before, high intensity interval training, and now you got to work out. It's kind of just built into your day. And yes, you have to be a little bit more intentional about it. Park in the back of the parking lot, take the stairs. I park in the very back. It irritates the crap out of my wife, but I park in the very back of every single store. And at work, at the gym, whenever I am training my in-person clients, I park literally 3 parking lots away just for the fun of it. But, with some intentionality, I get a lot of steps. You don't have to do that. You don't need any special gear. You don't need any fancy shoes. You can literally walk barefoot if that's something that your feet are ready for. Now, here's something that's really cool. When you're ready for more, and let's say you can't add more steps. You're just like, man, I'm maxed out on steps. I can't do more than 10,000 steps a day or whatever it is for you. You can add a backpack with weight in it. That's called rucking. You could also increase the incline on a treadmill. If you can get some of your steps on a treadmill, you just increase it a little bit. You don't pull on the handrails and hold on to the handrails for dear life. And you will increase the intensity of some of those steps. And, I know at that point we're talking about cardio, but still, it's very powerful. Here's a really easy plan that anyone can follow. This is kind of how I start my clients off. So count your steps for 1 week. Don't change anything yet. The step tracker that I use is called this 3D pedometer Neskla. I hope that, so that on Amazon, it's, $20 for 2 of them or something like that. They're not very much, but they are so much more accurate than a watch. But you can use your watch, you can use your phone. It doesn't matter as long as the steps are consistent. So if you keep your phone in your pocket most of the time, then your steps are going to be pretty consistent. Even if it's off by 1,000, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to get more. But after a week, you're going to know your average steps. So you can add another 1,000 steps every week until you find that you're maxed out. Over time, you're going to find your step ceiling where you're burning a lot of calories, but you're still feeling good. I don't want this to drag you down. I did a 25,000 step a day challenge for a week. My gosh, totally unsustainable, at least for me. Some people, they can do that. I cannot. Here's the best part. It allows you to eat more food and still lose fat. And you can lose fat faster if you want, but I prefer to use that for my clients to allow them to eat more and feel like, how is this possible? I'm eating more food than ever. And it's like, yeah, because you're moving more than ever. It's a very powerful effect. I don't really believe in eating tiny amounts. It never works for very long. For a sprint, maybe, you could cut your calories real low, but you can only cut your calories for so long, so many times before it starts to affect you, and then eventually you're gonna quit. This time for you, I promise it really is different. This works because it's something you can do every day without feeling like you're punishing yourself, and it's just built into your day. So for this next one, this is a word of caution, but also I think it can be very hopeful when done correctly. Let me show you this. So adjusting your fat loss plan is like a rudder on a ship. It's very small and you can make small changes, but when done too far, whenever you adjust it too much, it is going to steer you off path. And that's where people typically fail. This graphic is showing the typical way that people lose weight. And I think this is so encouraging. It is not a straight line down. A lot of people think that dotted line that you're looking at, and I'm looking at it on my phone, that's how you lose weight. But really it's a series of plateaus. And then I got better at something and now I lost weight. And the weight loss feels fast, but really I think in the background it was slowly happening. And you see that weight express itself on the scale whenever, our water weight fluctuates up and down. So you can't be really defeated by the up and down nature of that, but you'll see all of a sudden, wow, I'm down here now. Now I'm down here. And it's because you're improving on these things. And in the background, you were losing fat. It might have been slow. And then whenever you improved on those things, it kind of sped up and it feels like you lost a bunch all at once. So I want you to really relish this. If you are in a plateau right now, it's part of the process. You're on the right track. You are doing the right thing. You're gonna hit plateaus. So be excited by that because the thing that follows a plateau is weight loss. A 2023 study showed that people who made small adjustments to their plan maintained 87% more weight loss than those who made large adjustments to their plan. I didn't look into the details of the study. I don't know what small adjustments and large adjustments what that meant. But the point is that I believe those stats to be true based off what I have seen from my clients. We make small adjustments and those really seem to go well. So don't worry about the changes on the scale every day. Look for patterns over the course of weeks. Your weight is going to fluctuate. That is natural and that is normal. There's too many things that affect it. Water, salt, and even when you last ate can affect these things. If your dinner last night was at 7 instead of 5, that's going to impact your weight a little bit because there's going to be less digestion that's happened. And so you really can't go off of daily weigh-ins, but the daily weigh-ins show you so much easier a pattern that's happening instead of weekly or sometimes monthly. The key is to take a step back and see if your weight is trending down over time. Think of your body like a puzzle. Each puzzle is going to fit together a little bit differently. Different puzzles. One is my daughter's into this right now. She's 3. Unicorns versus mermaids. Those are obviously going to fit together differently, and you are a unique puzzle. I know it's kind of cliche, but each person is going to be a little bit different, but this system is still going to work for you. You just got to give it time. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to adjust your calories. If you're losing weight, even if it's slow, just enjoy it. I promise you are progressing, and with time, you're going to look back and you're like, my gosh, look at all the changes I've made. I oftentimes compare it to growing out your hair. If you've ever tried to grow out your hair, I don't know, maybe this is like a guy thing only, but if you've ever tried to grow out your hair, if you look at it every day, you're like, gosh darn it, my hair ain't growing. But if you kind of ignore the mirror a little bit, which ironically hits home for a lot of weight loss people. I'm not saying to ignore the mirror for your body, but I'm just saying if you ignore the mirror and you don't look at your hair so closely every day, if you look at it after a month, you're like, if you see family that you haven't seen in a month, a lot of times you're like, my gosh, your hair's getting long. And that's because, they don't see you every day. You see yourself every single day. I want to encourage you again that if you're seeing weight loss, no matter how small, that means your plan is working. Please believe that. If your weight stays the same for 2 weeks, it's time to make a small change. And remember, if you've hit a plateau, congratulations, you are now further in your journey. You want to hit those plateaus because they're going to happen no matter what. So congratulations, you've hit it. Now we got to make an adjustment. You could make a small adjustment to your calories, about 200 calories down. That's just like skipping a snack or removing a snack from your diet. Or you could walk an extra 500 steps per day. That's about 5 minutes of extra walking every single day. Or you could add more protein to your meals to help you feel more full and naturally decrease your calories, plus increase that thermic effect of food that burns calories for free because you're eating more protein. The smart move is to do a little bit of all of these. With my clients, I adjust their calories down just by 100, which I know seems insignificant. But if you adjust that down by 100, and I call this my dial system, I'll make sure to bring that up at the very end of the video so you can go watch that if you want. It's the system I literally use for my clients. So we dial their calories just down just a little bit. We dial their steps up by 500 a day, dial up their protein just a little bit, and then from there, they're starting to lose weight. I save cardio for whenever you hit a really big plateau that seems really hard to bust through. So up to this point, I have not mentioned cardio. If you are really stuck, let's say 2 weeks, you make these adjustments, you're like, my gosh, I'm so hungry. Then you can add in some of those calories again, and you can start adding in cardio. Start with just 2 days a week, 20 minutes, something like that. And then you can add days per week. So let's say you build all the way up to 4, and you're like, nope, I can't do more than 4 days per week, 20 minutes. Okay, well now you can do 4 days per week, 25 minutes, and then 30. And then eventually you'll see the cap or the time commitment ceiling on each session of cardio. If you build up your steps and you build up your cardio, you're now scorching calories. You're building muscle. You're going to be burning more calories. All this comes together to really help you. And I think you can start to see, if you've made it this far in the video, how this system is going to change your life. The key to this whole system is to keep adapting and to not give up. Leave a comment on my videos if you are feeling like giving up. I will talk you out of it. It's what I do every single day for my clients. I cannot tell you how many people want to quit every single day. Actually, I probably can. It's about 1 or 2 every day that give me some sort of message. It's like, man, I'm really feeling defeated. And I look over the numbers and I help them. Plateaus are not failures. They're just your body's way of asking for a small change. And it's time to make that change. Remember at the very beginning, whenever I said that not a lot of people are willing to put in the work to do the things that are going to lead to them getting results. That's discouraging and that, I got to do work. But don't worry, that means that you have the power. And if you're willing to do the work, you can make this change. And I promise the work gets easier. You start to love it. Please trust me, you start to love this lifestyle. As I mentioned, make sure to download my cookbook if you have made it this far in the video. That is really, really going to help you. And then go watch this video next because that is the exact system that I use to tweak and dial in all my clients' results.